Hey, good evening, folks. It's Gabriel, Sacred Awakens Radio. I haven't been on here in a while. I've been hermiting, but I've been watching the media and a lot of posts here lately, and a lot of people are talking about Gen X. A lot of people are speaking to what it was like to grow up in Gen X. And I was born in 1972 in a little town in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And then my mother and father moved me to Texas as fast as they could because they knew deep down inside that I needed to be a Texan. Not that I don't like Oklahoma. Aki, stop. Sit. But that's Aki. For those of you that don't know, I have a black Belgian Malinois, and we've been cooped up in the great ice apocalypse of Texas that shut down all of Texas. And in doing so, we've been cooped up in our RV, and I wanted to share a story because I'm a storyteller. Um, I wanted to share what it was like growing up in Seabrook, Texas, as a child, and how ornery I was, and how I just seemed to be born a rebel, to be born a non-law-abiding citizen, and testing the boundaries of the school systems and um, government and the police. And a good friend of mine, Faith, is a deeply rooted spiritual being, and her and I go into some in-depth conversations, and we have a lot of talk that most people are unable to go that deep. And in that, we were discussing today about growing up because, like myself, she was a rebel. I met Faith on the beach. Very interesting story. Maybe we'll share it. I'm trying to talk her into coming on here. She has a great story, and just an infinite being of poetic fortitude that we all need in our life. She reminds me of the faith that we all need in our life, actually. But I digress. I was talking to my mother too about what it was like raising me, and Faith had come up to me today, and we were discussing like our spiritual journey and how we got to where we are, and having unique paths, but still being very similar in our upbringing. And why was it that as a child did she test boundaries and did I test boundaries? And then my friend Casey, a fellow veteran and Marine, Aki, off, stay. Um, he and I were discussing the same thing, and how he got into trouble by testing the boundaries of the military, and so did I. And then I watched a video today about this guy running from the law, and it got me to thinking about how many times I ran from the law as a child, and the stories I have, because we were allowed to stay out on the streets. My mother was a single mother growing up in Seabrook, and we had this thing called block mothers. And the block mothers would put a sign in the window, and you could go there if you were in trouble or if you needed anything. And my mother, being the single mother, allowed all the dads in the neighborhood to discipline me, and the mothers. So me being the rowdy child that I was, I often tested pretty much everything, and I would often get into trouble. And it was just such a different time then, because we all knew the police officers. Some of us knew them far better than others. Yes, I ran away at an early age, and my mom let me get arrested. Oddly enough, I think I was like 8, maybe even 7. But these are the stories that I have as a child about egging police cars, staying out and building forts in the woods, and building fires and making explosives, and catching fields on fires, trying to create bottle rockets and mixing chemicals together. And because I didn't have a lot of supervision, because my father, being a product from Vietnam, he disengaged and left when I was a child, early on, 6. And my poor mother needed the help of the community to help raise me. And whether it was babysitters or whether it was, come on, over here, off. Sorry, Aki's wound up. Whether it was, the lady next door, the teachers, the coaches. And it had a profound impact on me because I didn't feel that I could fit in society. I didn't feel welcomed into the school. I was told I had a learning disability. I was put in resource classes. I was misunderstood as a child, and I pushed all the boundaries. And that got me to thinking about how many times just being innocent, like testing the limits, testing the boundaries, being, water ballooning vehicles, toilet papering houses, and all the things we did as a child. And I did more than most. I stole things, hot wired a bulldozer. We stole a sailboat, knocked out the power in Seabrook. I was always jumping in the bay, and while my mom was at work, she'd tell me not to get in the water. But I'd jump in the bay, and I would literally walk through the bay, through all the piers, miles and miles in this town of Seabrook, and go fishing. All I wanted to do was be in the water, and I was. I was always out in the woods. I was always out testing nature and trying to learn things for myself, because my father didn't teach me how to fish. He didn't teach me all the things. He did teach me a lot about the outdoors and stuff, but from just a very narrow window. And you know, now where I am spiritually, I am just a different person. I didn't believe in God. I had a very, very abusive childhood. I was bullied. My dad, beat me for my sins. There was a lot that was going on when I was a child. So I would go out into the woods and escape. And I acted out. I tested all authority. I went to church. I got in trouble in church all the time. And my family are deep Southern Baptist. My mother and my grandmother, that woman, thump your hands, would take a switch off of a willow tree and whip you with it. But I always questioned everything: religion, the law, society, my friends, relationships, and I would just push the boundaries. And that's what built the Generation X and made us so strong is, drinking from the water hose, not coming home until, the wee hours of the morning, and knowing that we were safe. I mean, the police often would let us kick cans until early morning, as long as we didn't get into too much trouble. And I also did some other things. But that prompted me, how cool would it be if we could all share our stories of Generation X and what it was really like to grow up in a world where we didn't have all of we have right now, where we didn't have the video cameras and all the stuff to distract us. And I think Atari came into play somewhere early on. Maybe I was 5 or 6, and that was cool. But I always still wanted to be outdoors and test, and ask, what is it? What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? If I do this, what is the repercussion of that? And that quest is what propelled me into my spiritual journey, because I always felt like there was something out there. Always felt like I needed to fit in somewhere, but I didn't ever seem that I was of this world, honestly. And just all of the trials and tribulations I went through made me tougher. All the pops, man, that was back when corporal punishment was okay, and testing the boundaries with coaches, and knowing I was going to get popped, but doing it anyway. And looking for role models back then, and looking to the coaches, and looking and wanting to be an astronaut or a firefighter or a policeman or a football player, back when things were real, back when things felt necessary. And I thought it'd be a great idea. I'm going to invite my mom and sister onto my podcast, but I wanted to do like a 10-minute intro. What was it like for y'all growing up? What was it like for Gen X to be Gen X? And please comment, share. This voice that I have, I want to share other people's voices, other people's stories. That's what KCAA has given me the platform through Sacred Awakens to do. But so many of us spiritual beings aren't sharing our stories. We're not sharing each other's stories, and that has voice and that's power. And by us coming together, we can do that. So I just want to know what it was like growing up in the land of Dukes of Hazzard and being a child and doing what you felt. How many of you felt like rebels your whole life, and now you just feel like through spirituality you're finding that place? This is Gabriel, Sacred Awakens on KCAA Radio, Wednesday mornings, 7 to 8 a.m. Love you.